Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes Geely-backed Phonemaker taps banks for IPO at $2 billion value. Country Garden misses Yuan bond coupon payment for first time. U.S. envoy visited Hong Kong as city fast-tracks new security law. Foreign flows to India derivatives swell amid regulator scrutiny. What will the BOJ do with its $475 billion ETF hoard? Geely-backed Phonemaker taps banks for IPO at $2 billion value. Bloomberg. Chinese smartphone maker DreamSmart Group, the company behind popular brand Meizu, has selected banks to prepare for its potential Hong Kong IPO. The company is working with China International Capital Corporation and Huatai Securities Company and may seek a valuation of up to 20 billion Chinese yuan, $2.1 billion. DreamSmart Group, which is owned by Chinese automaker Zhejiang Geely Holdings Group, transitioned to developing artificial intelligence for mobile devices last year. The IPO plans are subject to change and a representative for DreamSmart declined to comment. Country Garden misses Yuan bond coupon payment for first time. Bloomberg. Country Garden Holdings, one of China's biggest property developers, has missed a payment on a yuan bond for the first time. The company's main onshore unit did not pay a 96 million Chinese yuan, $13 million, coupon that was due on March 6 for a CNY 4.8% yuan bond maturing in 2026. Country Garden avoided default on its local currency obligations by extending more than 10 billion Chinese yuan of yuan bonds by 3 years, although sales have slumped. The developer's crisis deepened last month when a Hong Kong court received a creditor's petition to wind up the Guangdong-based company. U.S. envoy visited Hong Kong as city fast-tracks new security law. Bloomberg. The U.S. ambassador to China, Nicholas Burns, has visited Hong Kong amidst concerns over the city's new security legislation. The legislation, known as the Article 23 law, has raised fears among business leaders and foreign governments about its impact on freedom of speech and tensions between the U.S. and China. Burns' visit marks his first publicly known trip to Hong Kong since becoming ambassador in 2022. The U.S. government has expressed concerns about the broad and vague definitions in the proposed law and the potential for it to be used to stifle dissent. Hong Kong's legislature is expected to approve the bill in the coming days. Foreign flows to India derivatives swell amid regulator scrutiny. Bloomberg. Foreign investment in India through participatory notes, a type of offshore derivative, has risen 56% to $17.3 billion at the end of January. This comes despite increased disclosure requirements aimed at verifying client identity and concerns about potential money laundering. The rise in investments via participatory notes is due to India's booming stock market, which is attracting investors looking for alternatives to China. However, the regulator is keen to discourage investments in these notes, as it is concerned they are being misused by Indian promoters and resident investors who are not allowed to invest in them. What will the BOJ do with its $475 billion ETF hoard? Bloomberg. The Bank of Japan, BOJ, owns around 70 trillion yen, $475 billion, of the country's exchange-traded funds, ETFs. A key question for stock investors is what the BOJ plans to do with this enormous pile of funds, and when. Reducing it would help the central bank normalize one of the most unorthodox parts of its policy regime, yet this would risk undermining confidence in a stock market that only just clawed itself back to levels last reached in 1989. Experts have offered a host of solutions, including the government taking over the ETFs and an option for the BOJ to replicate what Hong Kong did after its stock market intervention in 1998, disposing of its holdings by pooling them into a new listed vehicle. Stablecoin sandbox launches in Hong Kong, but participants not guaranteed license. South China Morning Post. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority, HKMA, Hong Kong's de facto central bank, has launched a stablecoin sandbox to allow companies to trial cryptocurrency tokens pegged to fiat currency. The sandbox will enable stablecoin trials within a limited scope and risk-controlled environment and allow the HKMA to communicate supervisory expectations and guidance to potential issuers. There is no limit on the number of entities that can participate, but applicants must show a genuine interest in and reasonable plan for issuing fiat-referenced stablecoins. Hong Kong's apartment glut is set to keep prices down after tax cut. Bloomberg. Hong Kong's property market has seen a surge in transactions since the government removed extra taxes on foreign buyers and existing homeowners last month. However, property agents and analysts say there is little evidence that values are rising and predict that a supply glut, combined with high borrowing costs and a weak economy, will stunt price growth in the coming months. Developers are focused on clearing their inventory and are not expected to raise prices significantly. Singapore sees macro uncertainty impact on property sector, CNA. Bloomberg. Singapore's real estate industry is expected to face challenges due to economic uncertainties, according to Desmond Lee, the Minister for National Development. Lee stated that interest rates are likely to remain high for longer and geopolitical tensions will impact the property sector. Singapore's property market has been slowing down since the government implemented measures to cool the market and rising interest rates took effect. Lee emphasized the need to ensure stability in the property market and prevent it from running ahead of economic fundamentals. Korea to review risky financial products after China tied losses. Bloomberg. South Korea is planning to review the sale of high-risk investments after it was found that banks missold China-linked structured products to retail investors, resulting in over $4 billion in losses. The Financial Supervisory Service, FSS, has said it may ban the sale of these high-risk products, following an investigation which found that some banks and brokerages misrepresented the risky nature of the investments. Losses are estimated at KRW 5.8 TN, $4.4 billion, this year. South Korea is a major market for complex structured products, which are widely available at banks, and the country's regulator is considering reinforcing internal compliance rules at financial firms. She extinguishes separation of powers, fuses party with the state. The Sydney Morning Herald. Chinese President Xi Jinping has consolidated his power further by removing the power of the State Council, which includes the Premier and economic ministers, and making it indivisible from the Communist Party. The move is part of a wider trend of fusing the party and state, which has been underway since she took power in 2013. The changes mean that officials are required to implement the ideological spirit of the party and its leader, rather than focusing on specific practical tasks that make society function. Critics argue that the changes will make it more difficult to assess policy decisions. Rich named Georgia Society, State American History Teacher of the Year. Yahoo! Jeremy G. Rich of Thomasville, Georgia, has been named the Georgia Society, National Society Colonial Dame 17th Century, State American History Teacher of the Year. Rich is a teacher and chair of the Social Studies Department at Bishop Hall Charter School and has been a teacher for 17 years. He is known for going above and beyond in his teaching methods, taking his students on trips and inviting guest speakers to his classes. Rich is also the pastor of First Missionary Baptist Church in Thomasville and serves on the Thomas County Board of Commissioners. China faces familiar growth dilemma as economy slows. Nikkei Asia. China's National People's Congress, NPC, has revealed little about the government's plans to revive the economy. The NPC's main focus has been on unwinding the housing crisis, with limited measures to buoy housing demand. The government's cautious approach is driven by concerns over a property market bubble and the need to manage financial risks. Beijing is also reluctant to introduce measures that would stimulate the economy, as this could exacerbate the housing market bubble. Instead, the government is focusing on managing risk and creating enough jobs to support economic growth. The NPC has highlighted China's shift towards high-tech industries, such as electric vehicles, hydrogen energy, biomanufacturing, commercial aircraft, and quantum computing, as a potential solution for rejuvenating the economy. However, economists have expressed skepticism about whether high-tech investment will lead to overall productivity gains. They argue that the high-tech sector is relatively small and that the majority of the economy does not benefit from high-tech investment. The government's options for stimulating the economy are limited, given the oversupply of property that threatens to collapse the market. The government is keen to avoid a major panic and is trying to let air out of the market gradually. It has implemented limited measures to support property prices and is providing lending to financially troubled developers. However, the government's ability to stimulate the economy is constrained by the massive oversupply of property and the potential impact on banks. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.